Welcome everyone to the Real Whovians cast, episode 654. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with David. What's up, David?
Hey.
What's up, Gloria?
You can't see me, but hi.
What's up, James?
Hey, dang, Glory dark than I am, damn.
What's up, Mike D?
Well, since James is here tonight, I don't have to say L Z.
There you go. All right, so I've been trying to get, this is a crossover, by the way, with the Daily Motion shows that we have now, the Real Whovians Cast Unlimited. So we touched upon it there, me and Gloria and David. Basically, I've been showing some episodes of David Tennant's Doctor Who to Sharon. We saw Girl in the Fireplace on Saturday, and today we saw Blink. And I noticed something different with Blink today that I didn't notice before. There was a conversation that the 10th Doctor had with Sally Sparrow where he explained to her that he sometimes meets people out of order or does things out of order. And he says, like, when he went to his own wedding. And I'm like, wait a minute. What wedding did he attend of a future incarnation of himself? So I didn't catch that the first time. And I had myself scratching my head, and I'm thinking, well, River had sent a distress call on a Wedding River song for anyone to save the Doctor. But then we didn't see him at the wedding unless he was watching from afar.
Well, wait, did he say his wedding or a wedding? I want to be sure.
I believe he said his wedding.
He said he cared about weddings, especially his own.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was his wedding. So I'm like, well, what the hell? When are we going to see that? I mean, is there going to be Peter Capaldi marrying River or something? Because I don't know what wedding that is. That was one thing. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, he married the Queen of England.
Yeah.
You know, and then
He
married River
But
Song,
this
yes,
incarnation was with Martha Jones. That happened after, towards the end of his life cycle. So it couldn't be that.
You know, and I know he got engaged at the first Doctor when he went like back to the Aztec time.
Yeah, but he's talking about going to his own wedding. Like, but where did he go to his? I'm trying to think what the hell that is.
Think of Queen Victoria, River Song, and anybody else.
Well, what about his? Well, I mean, he had a granddaughter. He had to have been presumably married at some point to Susan's mother, right?
Yeah,
Susan's mother. Yeah.
Right. So in other words, David Tennant went back to that wedding.
To
watch
Susan's mother's parent, I should say.
Yeah, her grandmother. Yeah.
Yes. Thanks.
Okay, that could be it. Another thing I didn't notice was that the 10th Doctor had told the police officer in 1969 about how, well, a lot of things happened in 1969. Him and Martha watched the moon landing 3 times. 3 times they went to see the moon landing. Also connected, but if you think about it, it's connected with the silence, and they had kidnapped Amy Pond, supposedly on the moon, on their TARDIS in 1969, when that was occurring. Has me thinking, did he possibly see the silence and kept repeating himself because he keeps forgetting? I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, could there be something connected with that? Because a lot of things happened in 1969 besides the silence. Also, River had regenerated in 1969, but in New York City.
Yeah, and the Doctor calls Nixon his presidency.
Yeah. So there's that. There's also the fact that something could connect with Pompeii in a way. What was it, Caecilius from Pompeii? Mike D, is that his name?
Yes.
Okay. He's not the first person to exist, shouldn't have existed, and create a whole line of people that should have never been born. That actually happened in Blink episode because Nightingale was never supposed to go into the past and have a romance with that guy in 1920 and have like 5 kids. okay, which had grandkids, and then so on and so forth. So she had created a whole batch of people that should have never existed in the first place, which is very interesting because the cop goes back to 1969, and he marries a Sally, which the friend said that she had a granddaughter named Sally, which is interesting. That's one of the kids. But also leads me to believe that what if one of those descendants was Clara's mother? And then technically Clara is even more special than we thought, because without the Weeping Angels she wouldn't really exist in the first place.
That's a lot of timey-wimey stuff right there.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it goes in when there's stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Anybody want to speculate on that?
We're able to hear what the angels are saying. Stephanie said that about that.
Well, that's River's ability, yeah, because her mother was infected with the angels and Time of the Angels, yeah. I don't know, Andy, what do you think about that, Mike D? I mean, that all those people existing that should have never existed.
Yeah, that's interesting. I see that looking for consistency to some degree, I think is like a bit futile, because I think much like the Prime Directive in Star Trek, they state it out there in the forefront all the time, but they break it whenever it's convenient.
Okay.
I was looking at episodes in 1969 of Doctor Who. I was going to see if like Abominable Snowman or The Invasion, which The Invasion took, well, actually that's not The Web of Fears what I'm thinking of. I was going to see if the Great Intelligence might have been involved in one of those.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, Doctor Who, you might have, if anything, pointed out a sort of a inconsistency in what they assert occurs during the show. Like, kind of like in Star Trek, don't break the Prime Directive, but hey, 2 episodes later, we're going to break the Prime Directive, but it's for the greater good.
Right.
Someone sometimes would say something like, I think it's, reading too much into it, but that is actually, I like that. There's that whole cleverness with the whole Sally Claro's, her friend Nightingale named her granddaughter, or has a daughter named Sally, granddaughter named Sally.
I think it would be cool, actually, if they did something like that, but they didn't, like, make it so convoluted. Like, if it was something, like if you found out, like, Clara's a girl out of time, and, like, just, like, throw somebody else in there, like, just as, like, a side, like, Wilf is really, like, her grandson or something,
Right.
Like, something to tie it back around in a weird, timey-wimey way. That would be kind of neat.
What year did they Weeping Angels send Amy and Rory to?
Back to the 1930s or something.
Yeah, I think that's right.
In the last time they sent them back, it was the 30s.
Yeah, 38.
Okay, because Nightingale was sent back to the 20s, so they sent them back to the 30s. Okay.
Yeah, because the TARDIS couldn't go back; it kept bouncing off like a time
distortion. Yeah.
Yep.
Distortion.
Okay.
What I don't get is, they always talk about Doctor Who, about other doctors can cross the other doctors' timelines without causing some kind of devastation. So if the 10th Doctor sees his own wedding, would it like make some kind of time distortion or something?
Not if he interacted. If he interacted with himself, then of course it would create a paradox. But unless of course there's that thing when the 10th Doctor and the 11th Doctor interacted.
Well, the ninth Doctor actually saw himself, right?
The Ninth Doctor?
Yeah, in the episode where you had the Reapers, Rose's dad, didn't he see himself on the street corner?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he can't view himself.
And Amy and Rory saw each other in the Hungry Earth episode, waving.
Yeah, and then the timeline was altered, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, and then it was just her and stick out him. Yeah.
Well, and arguably, 10th Doctor just missed himself also with Rose before he regenerated by showing up before, or what was, like, later that night she was going to meet him in his 9th incarnation.
Yeah.
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 That's why 10th Doctor have a good year. He's going to have a great year.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, or something like that.
Well, actually, it was New Year's that he saw her, but then months later she was going to meet the doctor, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it wasn't winter snow all over the ground when she was in the shop. It was like springtime or something. Basically, it was like what Doctor we had in March, I guess, right? It was like March or something like that.
Yeah, and arguably the Ninth Doctor episode, he was actually the whole episode dealt with like some sort of time displacement of sorts, but he was actually correcting something that should have happened rather than.
It was March because wasn't it supposed to be the day that the Autons attacked and everything, and they were killing people in the malls, and that's what she had to deal with in that episode. And then it was the same day that Clara's mother died, and on her tombstone it was March something. It was actually the day that the episode aired.
Right, but we don't know if that was the cause of it.
Yeah, we don't know that, but I mean we know that the episode aired in March, so it was supposed to be March.
Right.
I just thought of something now. Rory and Amy got sent back to the 1930s, right?
Right.
And they couldn't have kids, so they adopted a kid.
Right.
If that kid turns out to be Clara's great-great-grandfather or something.
Could have been.
I mean, it'd be like a time loop. It'd be like time looping on itself.
Hey, Clara could turn out to be Susan's mother.
Oh, yeah. Or Susan. Now, you never know. I don't know. Who knows? We're dealing with Stephen Moffat, so you don't never know what you got.
Yeah, that's true.
But I tend to believe that for some reason these episodes that Moffat does are linked to each other like a string.
Yeah.
And if you watch them all in order, you probably find it bad.
Yeah, but I still. What about these Time Lord ghosts now? Where did that come from?
I don't know. I'm not crazy. If that's a rumor, though, we don't know what's going on.
Well, that should get Steve Moffat fired right there.
Well, we're hearing that David Tennant and Paul McGann are going to be in the finale. So as the 10th and the 8th, the ghost or whatever. I don't know.
Or the ghost.
I have no idea.
Two of my favorites after Matt. I'm happy.
She's a happy camper. Gloria's a happy camper. And this is Gloria's Who Idol winnings.
Yep.
Going to be mailed out. She wanted Netflix. That's what she's getting. So, mailing it out tomorrow morning.
I'll tell you now, Christopher Eccleston should have been in at the 50th anniversary.
Well, he was originally until they're going to make his doctor the one to blow everything up, and he's like, that's not true because I just regenerated and I saw Rose, which is true. Like, he wasn't around for, like, different things.
And they weren't going to use the Paul McGann's incarnation. Nah.
No, Moffat was against that. Yeah. Russell T. Davis could give a crap, but Moffat just...
Legitimately, they could have brought back Sylvester McCoy because he painted himself as like the master schemer. He could have like
basically started the Time War because he blew up Scar.
Yeah, exactly. I was getting to that. I was going to say like that would have been like the ultimate irony is like he got in over his head and he was forced to have to do something that he wasn't counting on having to do.
Well, actually, it goes back to the Genesis of the Daleks, where the Time Lord's like, listen, we're going to be in this huge war with the Daleks, so we want you to prevent them. And the Doctor's like, I'm not, But that's what they were talking about, the Time War back in the Genesis of Dalek. They just didn't call it the Time War. And then you see, Davros knows that this is what's going to happen, and then you see later on that, they decide to screw with the Time Lords. Not with the Master. They wanted to screw with the Time Lords because they couldn't get the Doctor, but they captured the Master. So they killed the Master on TV, Galactic TV, to piss the Time Lords off. And regardless,
speaking of Time Lords, how come they just couldn't send other Time Lords back to prevent the thing in the first place?
Because they never really did that. They don't.
Exactly.
They didn't really travel. The Doctor, the Ronnie, and
I mean, you got all them Time Lords out there, and can't none of them do nothing.
Nobody really traveled. They didn't know how to work a TARDIS.
Nope.
They didn't know what the hell they were doing. Yeah, that's why there probably wasn't that many TARDISes. It was just
exactly. Now, how you gonna be the master of Lord in time, and you can't stop a war from the beginning? I mean,
because don't forget when they said that they used the TARDISes, right? They weren't allowed to interfere, so all they did was travel with a TARDIS and be cloaked and just watch things. Right, they do just watch things, but they couldn't involve themselves. So, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, what the point then?
Exactly.
It's essentially it's like the Watcher from the Marvel comics.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
But then there's that one guy who always interferes anyway.
Right.
And then the doctor broke the mold.
I'm sure if we watched more episodes with Moffat in the past, I think if I watched Girl in the Fireplace a couple of times with Dr. Dix, I'm sure we'll have a clue to the present series coming up also.
Well, Waters of Mars.
Go ahead.
Waters of Mars was a pretty strong episode.
That was.
Dealing with that whole thing. I don't think it's just about Tennant. I think it's been something that's been an undercurrent in the character of the Doctor that hasn't really been addressed as much as it was.
Then he has the power. Then he has the power to change this.
Yeah, like he's aware. I think he speaks more of the fact that they can't do stuff, and he uses the word can't rather than he just doesn't.
Right. Well, look at the Daleks. The Daleks didn't care about anything, but that one Dalek could not shoot her. In Waters of Mars, like you couldn't shoot Adelaide Brooks in the beginning because she's connected with their beginnings, or the Time Lords or something, and they could not. They saw something like we better not shoot her because something's going to alter something.
So that tells you something about the dynamic going on, contrasting the Daleks with the Doctor, because the Daleks wouldn't shoot Adelaide, but the Doctor actually would go and break that time continuum.
Right.
But then that just brings up the point. Do people that are connected to fixed points in time, do they radiate this sort of, I don't want to say energy, that this signal?
Like a recognition of some sort?
Yeah, to certain time travelers. That's why the Dalek wouldn't shoot her, and that's why, that's why I think the Dalek wouldn't shoot her, because otherwise why would a Dalek pass up an opportunity to exterminate a human? The only reason I can think of is that there was something that tied her to a fixed point in time, this signal that essentially it clicked in the Dalek's mind that this was an off-limit.
Right. In other words, it would be a fixed point, but only a fixed point that would affect the Daleks' history. Because they really didn't give a crap about anybody because they were going to do the reality bomb or something and blow everybody up. But
also they may have her in their database, the information about her, like how she's connected. Because remember how they when they found out who River was, they're like Mercy, because they about why they had to say Mercy. So it's like they have a database that they're able to look in.
Yeah, something about River. They just scared the crap out of them, really. It's like
River. She's very clever, nice hair, has her own gun. She doesn't mind shooting people. We really shouldn't like that, but we kind of do, actually.
Well, she got raised by Madame Kavorian. Her only point in life was to take out the Doctor, so they trained her to be ruthless to take out the Doctor.
Right.
Yeah, the Daleks are probably... Look, if the Daleks... I think, imagine if River had all this training by Madame Kavarian and was unleashed during the Time War. Think about that. Now, think about that seriously for a second. How do you think that would have shaped the Time War?
Right.
The Time Lords would have won.
It would have been a really good victory.
Yeah. But then they would have to stop her then, though. And plus, she got Time Lord DNA now. She can regenerate, so.
But no, didn't she give her regeneration energy to the Doctor?
She's at the point when she first was into the story before giving it to. Well, actually, I wonder because in the very first episode when she's like interacting with him after turning into River, she actually does give up gives up all of her regenerations for him in that same episode at the end. So
it took all her regeneration to cure the poison, huh? I mean, that sounds like a cop-out right there.
The two people I think could have changed the Time War if they had existed. Two people. I think it could have been River and Jenny. Imagine those.
Yeah. Jenny.
Oh yeah, the dynamic duo.
Awesome.
Well, the reason I say Jenny, the reason I say Jenny is she probably has those memories of the Doctor. I would assume. Would she have memories of the
No.
Daleks?
No, just her DNA. No, not her memories.
His memories, no. I don't think so.
She was just her DNA. That's.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Really?
can the Time Lords code Time Lord DNA with memory though?
I don't think so because they used a liquid thing for memory.
Yeah, the encyclopedia liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
encyclopedia.
but if Time Lords have the ability to regenerate and retain memory, memory is coded in, like.
No, you know what?
physiology.
You're right because the Master was dust, and he remembered everything.
True. True.
But then again, on the other side of that coin, look at evolution of the Daleks, where the Dalek humans had Time Lord DNA mixed in there. So by that same token, shouldn't they have been able to regenerate, or what?
What Daleks had Time Lord DNA?
No,
Remember-
the DNA. Well, I remember that episode. DNA
Evolution
detected
of the
them from being
Daleks.
sent back in time by the Time Lords. That's the only thing that did. It's kind of like a shield, because the Time Lords like displaced them out of time with their Time Lord DNA. They stayed in the same place, so they can get sent
They
back.
They were in New York during that time, Daleks in Manhattan, and
yeah.
there was, when the Dalek humans wouldn't shoot the Doctor, he said, "Sorry, I got in the way of the lightning strike." Time Lord DNA got all mixed up, just that little bit of freedom.
Oh, okay.
So it may not have been enough, but because again, maybe it was just a small portion of Time Lord DNA, but I don't know.
I think it's just whenever they get close to a Time Lord, kind of like Rusty and Into the Dalek, he's able to see everything, and the Doctor knows that he was a good Dalek. Yeah.
What I don't get is right here now. All New York, Cardiff get invaded all the time, and people don't remember anything. You see a gigantic ship by
Crashing into
dead,
the
can't
bed.
remember anything. I mean,
No, I guarantee you
that.
this is the image I think of, and I'm gonna use Matrix Lord as the subject of this image. You just imagine him just sitting on a bench reading a newspaper. Dalek ship just comes crashing into a house next to him. He looks up from the newspaper. He just goes, "Huh," and then just looks
Well,
back.
the Cybermen were in Death in Heaven.
Oh,
let me take a selfie with them.
I've got a new theory for you, by the way.
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
This just came into my head. What can the Time Lords clone other Time Lords?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes,
they got that
because
machine,
River
don't they?
said that they want to burn the Time Lord so they don't. Well, that's what the value, I suppose, may be.
Well, I mean, we have an example of in that one Dalek episode with Tennant, that two-parter where he regenerated into his hand and became, I guess you could say, a pseudo clone. Not technically, but
Right.
What if Caecilius is like a Time Lord clone of the current Doctor, Capaldi's Doctor, and he was planted there?
Huh.
Could be.
Yeah.
That's why there's recognition between Tennant's Doctor and Capaldi's. He recognizes himself.
Right. His DNA. Right.
And then you got the other one, and
Good one, Mike.
then you got the other one too. In Torchwood.
Yeah, but that brings up the interesting theory. What James just said. How do you explain the one in Torchwood?
Yeah.
It could be another of the clones.
Mm.
No.
No, wait. Like Capaldi got 2 of his fingers chopped off.
And then maybe the boy, the supposed grandson of Clara might be Danny.
No, but see, here's the thing. He wouldn't have to lose his fingers. They would just need his DNA to clone him.
They cloned Ripley and aliens from a fingernail.
All you got to do is go collect blood.
Yeah, because Capaldi got the regeneration energy from what was that time in the Doctor? We don't know if the Time Lords were able to. They could.
Happens in the story because then there's a way to kind of save River from the library by making it be a clone actually died.
Because the doctor. Well, let me finish my theory here.
Okay, Art.
The doctor in Torchwood could be explained because he ended his life, right? Or that was insinuated. Now we have Caecilius, and we don't know what ultimately happens to him. We know in Fires of Pompeii what happens to him by the end of that episode. But if they're going to go back and revisit that, they could explain that that's a clone of the Doctor, but it was before we have the Doctor, the Capaldi Doctor that we have currently. Right. But the Time Lords were able to go in time and pull that clone out because they knew Matt Smith was close to regenerate. So, they had to pick a Doctor that was at least one away from the current Doctor who was Tennant, because Smith was in between Capaldi and Tennant.
Right.
Yeah.
They could easily retro that back and explain why that is, and that makes sense actually.
To answer your question, Gloria, according to the Big Finish audios, which is canon, River does get out of the library and remarries someone else.
That is so upsetting for me. It's like, boom.
Which we'll find out when it's out.
Yeah.
I remember an old episode where they had like the second Doctor got displaced by the Time Lords, and he had him back in time to help the sixth Doctor. You remember that episode?
Two Doctors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. All right, gang. This is awesome chat, but I am getting.
Well, wait. Actually, James brought up a really good point because with the two Doctors, with having the second Doctor and the sixth Doctor, it's never really been explained.
Yes.
Some of the inconsistencies of why, like for example, Troughton's second Doctor in that episode is aware of, or what was the inconsistency? Something about Jamie.
Well, basically, the second Doctor knows he regenerated.
Okay.
And the Time Lords took him out of time as he's about to regenerate.
Yes.
And send him on a series of covert missions.
So we already. Stop right there. That's what I'm saying is that we already have as precedent the fact that the Time Lords are willing to do something like that.
Right.
So why couldn't they do that with Caecilius / the current Doctor and the actual current Doctor?
They could.
It's kind of like what happened in the two Doctors, but it's actually the Doctor himself. Right. Kind of like what we had with Maxwell, right? Colin Baker's character in the Fifth Doctor story. You had that occur where it was basically like a doppelganger of the Doctor they could explain, and then you have the Sixth Doctor who has the same appearance as Maxwell. They could be doing the same thing with Caecilius and the current Doctor, but actually giving it an explanation, which seems to be where they're going with things.
And basically, the second Doctor would not do those missions
because of
unless they restored the memories back of his companions that they erased. Because Jamie McCrimmon was an older version of Jamie.
Yes. So see the Time Lords that kind of points to in this series we might see Time Lord involvement with why Capaldi looks like Capaldi or looks like Caecilius, I should say.
Like they were able to halt the regeneration energy, heal him, make him go do the missions, put him back into that point, and then regenerate him.
Because obviously they have full control over the regeneration cycle by giving him a full. So see that's leading to something very easily. One could make that argument of what we're discussing here.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's something
I
we're talking about.
Between the Doctor. Yeah. I think it's between the Doctor and the TARDIS when they start looking for faces, they look at something in somebody, I guess something good or something bad, and
I just think that the only thing that was chosen was the Time Lord chose that face leads to Gallifrey. I don't think that he chooses his own face. I think that's bullcrap. I think it's just random, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
It could be a subconscious thought when he's regenerating, like maybe he thought about the guard for some reason and regenerating to him. I don't really think it's like.
Well, can I tell you something? I think the TARDIS actually sometimes does the thinking for the Doctor, and the Doctor doesn't realize it. Like the TARDIS is kind of like the parent that knows best. It doesn't always tell the child why certain things happen. but it's for an overall, the big picture.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So they might have chosen the faithful.
because we already have the precedent. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to add to that we already have the precedent set where the TARDIS just seemingly seems to land exactly at the right place at the right time when the Doctor needs to step in and do something. So,
yeah, I'm going to say the same thing, that the TARDIS takes the Doctor not where he wants to go, but where he needs to go.
Yeah, like she said, yeah.
With the exception of when he really has to go places, like save Sarah Jane Smith's son, save Martha. That's
but the TARDIS recognizes the importance of that, as opposed to like, hey, Sarah, let's go on vacation to the moons of whatever, you know?
Right.
So see, the TARDIS, I think...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just thinking in the 50th anniversary episode, I wonder if
I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if the three TARDISes even talk to each other. I mean, they all side by side.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the TARDIS is conscious on a very high level, so I think that the Doctor is not fully aware of to what degree the TARDIS actually either A, influences him, or B, kind of does its own thing with the greater picture in mind, and the Doctor's kind of like just along for the ride.
It itself is in essence the time itself, because it's got the vortex inside of it. Its heart is...
I mean, what if the Doctor's actually the TARDIS's companion, much like the companions are to the Doctor, you know?
Yeah, that's his longest companion in 2,000 years.
Exactly.
Well, think about when the TARDIS had a human form. She explicitly stated that she stole him.
Yes, and she will not give him back.
That's a good point, yes.
Yeah.
And then they ruined that when they had Clara jump into the time stream by saying, "Oh no, don't take that TARDIS, take this TARDIS."
But
that's not my business.
Isn't that the reason why the TARDIS, if I remember correctly, was initially apprehensive of Clara?
Yeah,
right?
he remembered her.
Yeah. See, we're kind of formulating a very tangible story.
I think she told the Doctor which one to take. I don't think she told him the right one, and the TARDIS made sure he picked the right one.
Well, I'm glad they got the wood thing, because that first TARDIS looked like a shiny box, like a little silver box.
Yeah, that's what they originally look like. What they look like when they're not in the base, the thing where it got stuck, the
chameleon circuit.
Yeah, I remember when the Sixth Doctor fixed the chameleon circuit. Now, as the Doctor walking out of pianos, walking out of statues. I'm just glad they got the police box back.
So we gotta tell Joe when he comes back. I don't know if he's listening or stepped away, but we gotta tell him with the new theory of what if the Doctor's actually the TARDIS's companion.
Yeah.
Much like his companions are.
If he watches it again, this. Okay.
And then we're just gonna call the show TARDIS Who.
There you go.
Or Tales from the TARDIS.
TARDIS Travelers.
Yeah.
Now James, now that you said Tales from the TARDIS, all I can think of is like Tales from the Crypt. Oh god.
I was thinking the same thing, David.
That was a good show back on HBO back in the days.
Yeah.
They need to bring that show back.
I know.
They would ruin it now, though. They would ruin it now.
That's crazy.
Imagine if they did a Tales from the Crypt episode, but they used one of the Doctor Who monsters.
Oh my god.
Goodness.
What happened?
We were talking about a theory. I proposed, what if the Doctor is actually the companion of the TARDIS, much like the companions are to the Doctor, and the TARDIS is really the, we were having a discussion there for a couple of minutes, like theorizing and postulating evidence to back up that theory about the fact that the TARDIS obviously, David said something about that. In that one episode, the TARDIS basically said, like, the Doctor didn't steal me, I stole him.
And she wouldn't.
Right.
Then Clara suggested, the TARDIS.
Which contradicts that, because puts Clara in there to choose its TARDIS, which I don't agree with.
I think she actually tried to get him to get the wrong one, and the TARDIS. That's why the TARDIS doesn't like Clara, because she almost.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. That's why the TARDIS was apprehensive about Clara initially. Was.
Because they remember her.
Yeah, because the TARDIS is a sentient being. Because it's made of.
Right.
Gotta mind
The TARDIS holds a grudge. You tried to screw me out of the Doctor. You will pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember the episode where the TARDIS showed Claire all them past companions, showed her Martha, showed her
Right.
Rose, showed her
Long
all the past ones. That was funny.
Yeah, you know how protective females get of their men. So the TARDIS is Idris. So we know she would be a little bit protective over her man.
Right.
Right, Gloria?
Yeah.
I kind of like Kirkhope Enterprise. That's how the TARDIS is over to the Doctor.
See, I look at the TARDIS kind of like how Gloria would be. Like with Matt Smith, she loves Matt Smith and the Doctor. It's like, I mean, can you imagine if Gloria was the TARDIS and she wouldn't let any women come in there and steal her man, right, Gloria?
Hold up. Matt Smith is Patrick Troughton 2.0. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah.
Well, he is. Yeah, you're right.
See, there I go. See how I'm acting?
I honestly think that's the one missed opportunity that we had was the 11th Doctor encountering Rose just to see what his feelings would be. Because I thought he would be upset when he mentioned in the Christmas Carol one where Catherine Sardak is looking at him, he's like, would you rather have not loved at all, would you, or something, and just looked like upset.
I thought you were gonna say the missing thing was the fact that Matt Smith never encountered Patrick Troughton's Doctor, like the two of them.
But then he also mentioned Rose Tyler to Dorian Moldovar.
Well, I'll tell you why David Tennant is the best Doctor on Doctor Who, because he done went to every range of emotions in his time as the Doctor. Went from sad and brooding, went from happy.
Oh, every emotion, yeah.
Went from being a total badass, went to being maniacal.
I know
Time Lord Victorious. That's telltale signs of the Valeyard.
Yeah, but Pertwee did also.
But he did go through some. He had that main one, but he also went through something different.
Yeah, I mean, Pertwee ran the gamut with all that stuff too. I mean, let's not forget. I mean, Pertwee was actually crying when Joe Grant left at the end of Green Death.
Yeah.
And he had to deal with betrayal of a companion, a long friend of his, with Captain Yates in that dinosaur episode.
Yeah.
But he still had Letwitch Stewart.
Yeah.
That was his companion. While he was on Earth, pretty much.
I didn't notice that. I think they made a reference to the 10th Doctor to the girl in the fireplace when they had the dinosaur on a spaceship episode. They actually did. Apparently, when he was seeing the Triceratops, and they're like, "Oh, we aren't keeping the Triceratops," and I think 11 went, "I let you keep Rory."
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
I let you keep Mickey.
But for a while though, Moffat had Rory like I Killed Kenny. About every other episode, he done died somewhere.
No, that was fun.
I'm starting to think that having Rory in with Amy was not Moffat's decision, it was someone else's. And he's like, you know what, fine, we'll put him in. But that doesn't mean I have to keep him alive.
Right. All right, guys. That is it for tonight. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye for now.